A lot has happened since the last episode. I try to catch up as much as I can on playoff season, the NFL draft, and the most stone cold buzzer beater in NBA history coming up on Casual Friday.
It's a conspiracy against good taste. Honestly, Casual Friday is a myth, like the Loch Ness Monster or a free lunch.
Welcome back to Casual Friday, the sports podcast that wants to be formal but likes to party. I'm your host, Turner Barnes. So we haven't had a show the past 2 weeks due to technical difficulties, but hopefully that didn't make me lose my tiny following. The fifth episode of Casual Friday is brought to you by 1-0 Sports. Check us out on Twitter at 1-0 Sports. Follow me on Twitter at TurnerBarnes5. I tried to start make a YouTube channel under the same name, Casual Friday, but it's a lot harder than I thought. So bear with me. It didn't really work out. That's why I haven't posted the past few episodes. We had a really great episode with Robert Trevino on the show, and we ate breakfast foods and had an hour and 45-minute talk about all things sports. And then last week, I tried to get the YouTube channel up and running, but it didn't work very well, and so that's why I didn't get a podcast up last week. And so forgive me, guys. Bear with me. So tweet and email me at TurnerBarnes5 for tweets. Email me tbsportsmedia@gmail.com. I'll get you shouted out on the show. Send me some ideas to talk about, whatever it doesn't have to be sports, whatever you want. You want to hear me talk about on the show, and I'll give you my answers to your questions. So I know y'all have been dying to know the riddle of the week. That was 3 weeks ago now. The riddle was it was a sport that had 4 letters and it begins with a T. And the answer, as you probably already know, you probably Googled it because you were tired of waiting for me. But the answer is golf. And you're like, wait, golf doesn't start with a T, it starts with a G. But the game of golf starts with a tee shot. So it's like a little play on words. So that was the riddle of the week a few weeks ago. So just a little bit of catching up to do. We got a lot going on for today's show. So without further ado, here we go. All right, so we're going to start off with the best time of the year in sports. It's playoff season, and we're going to start with the best playoffs in sports, and that is the Stanley Cup playoffs. As you guys know, I'm a hockey fan, and even if you're not a hockey fan, it is objective fact that the Stanley Cup playoffs are the best. So we're going to start with the Dallas Stars. They beat the Nashville Predators in 6 games, and were clearly the better team almost all throughout the series. The Stars are playing well in every facet of the game, on offense, on defense, goaltending, special teams. And this is the first time that they've been playing like this since I've been alive. Or really since I've been a fan. I mean, I guess they won a Stanley Cup since I've been alive. But, I mean, I wasn't watching hockey when I was 2 years old. But this is the first time they've put it all together since I've been watching hockey. And it's scary. They're a really good team. The Dallas Stars have always been missing one little part of the game. A few years back, the offense was really good, but the goaltending couldn't keep up. But this year, finally, the offense has come around because this year it's been the goaltending carrying the team, and the offense has been struggling. But now the offense is coming into its own, kind of looking what they should look like. Outstanding play from Ben Bishop, minus Game 3, where he just kind of had a hiccup, gave up a few really, really weak goals, and Dallas lost that game. But they bounced back. The Stars killed every single Nashville power play, if I'm not mistaken, and that's huge. And I know Nashville wasn't good on the power play, but Dallas's penalty kill was amazing. You got 4 goals out of Alexander Radulov, 5 assists, and the series-winning goal from John Klingberg. Just an amazing team effort all around. Rupe Hintz played really well. Heiskanen, the 19-year-old, doesn't look like he's a 19-year-old in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He looks like he's a seasoned veteran in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And so last night, they played Game 1 of the second round against the Blues. It's a very rough and physical game, and that's the kind of game that Dallas can win. But St. Louis won 3-2. But it's a little too early to tell who's going to come away with the series. I think this series could go very easily either way. But we're going to really quickly talk about, because like I said, I got to catch y'all up. We're going to talk about the rest of the NHL playoffs real quick. Every single one seed in the tournament this year lost. So the Tampa Bay Lightning were swept. The Tampa Bay Lightning had a historic season, one of the best regular seasons in NHL history, and they're swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets in 4 games. It was Columbus's first ever playoff series win, so that was huge. The Calgary Flames lose to the Colorado Avalanche in 5. As we talked about, the Predators lost to the Stars in 6, and the Washington Capitals and Alex Ovechkin lost to the Carolina Hurricanes in 7 games. That doesn't mean that the teams that advanced are bad. And my good friend Sean Mapes on TSTV's College Crossfire the other day talked about how, I just love how in the NHL all the bad teams get to go through the first round, and then you're stuck with all the bad teams. Well, Sean, you're wrong. Because in the NHL, unlike the NBA, more often than not, good teams are left out of the playoffs rather than bad teams are let in. All these teams have a shot to win the cup. All these teams are very good teams. But I know, Sean, you're used to basketball where a bunch of bad teams like the Detroit Pistons make it in to the playoffs, but that's not the way it is in the NHL, and that's what makes the NHL great, because every single team that makes it has a legitimate chance to take the whole thing. So just quick, really short predictions. I think the conference finals will be Stars versus Sharks and Bruins versus Islanders in the East. So I think the Stars lost game 1, but they played okay. They need to get back. If they get back on track, they'll win the series in 6 if they play the way they played against Nashville. And I know St. Louis is the hottest team in the NHL. They had the least amount of points in the Western Conference on December 31st, but since the turn of the year, they've been playing amazing. But I think if the Stars play as well as they played against Nashville, it's going to be really hard to beat this Dallas Stars team. I think the Sharks have more experience than the Avalanche. Round 2 is when that gets important. Round 1, you can kind of get by on some lucky bounces or just some all-around good play. But round 2, that's when it gets more important to have experience, because you're getting a deeper playoff run. It takes some time to learn how to win in the playoffs. And I think I give that same reasoning to the Bruins. I think the Bruins have a little bit more experience. And I just think the Islanders are too good for the Hurricanes. I'm really surprised the Hurricanes made it past the Caps. And it took them 7 games, but I think the Islanders are a better team than the Caps, honestly. But so we'll see about that. But that's my real quick short prediction: Stars, Sharks, Bruins, Islanders in the conference finals. And now we're going to move on to the other side of the playoffs. Now, Damian Lillard. I've always been a Damian Lillard fan. I've always thought he's one of the most underappreciated players in the NBA. That is not true anymore. This man had himself a series, he had himself a game, and he had himself the most series-winning shot of all time. Sorry, MJ, yours was iconic and will always be the greatest. But let me explain why Dames is the most BA. So Damian Lillard comes into this year, and he finally got his first team All-NBA selection. He's been deserving of it for a few years now. I put him in my top 3 for sure point guards every single year. But he kind of had some stuff to prove because people were talking down about him, saying he didn't deserve it over Russell Westbrook. And so Russell Westbrook is the point guard of the team that they played in the first round, Oklahoma City. So it's Portland, Oklahoma City in the first round. There was tons of trash talk going back and forth, and the series was getting chippy, even though Portland was dominating. So let me just run through the point differentials by game between Damian Lillard and Russell Westbrook. So I'm going to say game, and I'm going to say who won and by how much in terms of head-to-head points. So game 1, Dame outscored Russ by 6 points. So Dame plus 6. Game 2, Damian plus 15. Game 3, Russell plus 1. So game 3, Russell Westbrook outscored Damian Lillard by 1 point. Game 4, Lillard plus 10. Game 5, Damian Lillard dropped 50 points versus Russ's 29, which gives you a plus 11. So those of you number geeks like me, listen up, right? So I know that's a lot of numbers to throw at you without you being able to see it. So I'm just going to tell you. Damian Lillard outscored Russell Westbrook by 41 points over the course of the series. 41 points in 5 games. Damian Lillard outscored Russell Westbrook by. And the way Russell Westbrook was playing, it probably would have taken him 2 extra games to catch up to Dame if he just sat out the next 2 games. But that didn't stop Westbrook from talking trash and doing his dumb little rock the baby thing. I mean, you're down, what was it, game 3 that they won? You're down 2-0 and you're winning. You're winning and you do your little rockabye baby to Damian Lillard, who's at that point had been outscoring you by 21 points. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, come on. Like, Russell Westbrook, I was pulling for him when he won the MVP a few years ago. I thought it was like, he's pretty underappreciated, and he is, but he's a punk, and I can't stand him. He's just, the thing he's doing with the media, with the guy from the Oklahoma City media, it's embarrassing for everybody. It's embarrassing for Russell Westbrook. It's embarrassing for the people who defend him, because there's no reason he should be, every time this one person asks a question, even if it's a good question, there's no reason he should say next question. And it's kind of upsetting me because it's starting to bleed into Paul George, and I've loved Paul George. But you saw the other day, Paul George did the next question also. So, sorry I went on a little tangent there on Russell Westbrook, but so he's just a punk. But you have this big rivalry, and not to mention this huge comeback. Oklahoma City was up by like 16 or 17 with around 5 minutes left, and Damian Lillard leads them back. Russell Westbrook's throwing bricks up all the way, and finally Damian Lillard has the ball, game tied, 12 seconds left. All right, so now we're going to run through really quick a little list of what made this shot stone cold. All right, reason number 1. Damian just sat there, right? There's 12 seconds left, and he's at the bottom of the logo, and he's sitting there, and he's just dribbling, and he's staring down one of the best defenders in the league, Paul George. He waves his teammates off, and he sits there and he waits, and you can tell he's going to make the shot. As soon as he got the ball and he's sitting there dribbling, I was like, oh, series over. And he was calm, cool, and collected the whole time. Reason 2 is Damian Lillard doesn't move until 2 seconds left. He's just sitting there, dribbling. 11, 10, 9, 8, still sitting there. 5, 4, 3. Finally, he makes his move. He does his classic sidestep three-pointer. So James Harden is famous for his step back. Damian Lillard is famous for his sidestep three-pointer. And honestly, it's a great move. It gets you even more separation from the defender than the step back that James Harden does sometimes. And he does the sidestep three-pointer from 40 feet away. I mean, he was even with the bottom of the logo when he let that thing fly. So he was pretty much from the logo and even further because he's from the side. And he's so far away that it takes the ball a full 2 seconds to get to the basket. And you have this awesome moment of silence as everyone watches with their breath held, and the ball goes in right as the buzzer goes off. It was insane. The whole arena explodes. The bench clears. They're running down to chase him. And then you see Damian Lillard, and you see a different view. You see a different angle. And when he makes the shot, his face does not change at all. It's like the Derrick Rose buzzer beater a few years ago when he banked it off the glass in Chicago to beat Cleveland and LeBron James. And it was kind of a meme, you know. His face didn't change. He was just sitting there acting all cool. And people kind of made fun of him for it. But Damian Lillard, it was awesome. And I don't know what the difference between Rose's and Dame's was. I guess Dame's kind of looked like it took more skill because he didn't bank it in or anything. But man, Damian Lillard knew it was in the whole time. And all he does is he turns to Oklahoma City bench and he waves. Like what? Like who thinks of that in that moment? That is so awesome. Then he gets mauled by his teammates. You get that meme picture of him looking at the camera and all of his teammates are on top of him. It was just an awesome moment. Later on, Paul George said it was a bad shot. No, I mean, I was always told if you make the shot, it's not a bad shot. I'm not sure about that, but that definitely was not a bad shot. Damian Lillard was hitting 40-foot three-pointers the whole series, and Paul George was just trying to save face. But you got that. You got the trolling of Westbrook. You have just the man, all the hype of the rivalry, the talk, and to win it like that was just incredible. All right, so that's enough ranting from me, and I've brought on the man who rants, Daniel Shih. Danny, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, how's it going? So I'm Daniel. I'm I guess you can call it the host of a podcast called Rants with Daniel Shih. It's also on 1&0 Sports. I'm a volunteer at TSTV as well with Turner.
He's my boss, so make me look good, guys. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I guess I am technically your boss, but not really. Yeah, and Turner came to me about if it's easy to start a podcast, and I was like, no, it's super easy. Just start recording on your computer and you're it. So I've been listening to some of his show, and it's really. I'm very proud of Turner.
Aww.
I sound like a dad saying that. But
that's all right.
His show is really, really good, and to most extent, it's quite better than mine. So
No. Different shows, for sure.
Different shows, yeah.
Different styles.
The way we do it's quite different. But it's very excited to be on the show. Yeah, let's get to it.
All right. So speaking of get to it, I just ranted about the Damian Lillard shot. What was your thoughts on that?
So I watched the highlights. I saw the Twitter. I saw my Twitter feed just blew up after the Lillard shot, and I was like, okay, I probably need to see this. So I saw one of those YouTube highlights, and I was waiting till the last. I basically started in the fourth quarter because I knew that it should be close, and when it was basically with 12 seconds or something left, I was like, oh, when is Lillard gonna actually get to the 3-point line?
Yeah.
I was not paying attention to the time. I wasn't paying attention to the time because I was like, he's gonna do something, and he hasn't been doing anything. I'm like, how long is he gonna wait for? And then suddenly he just pulls up, and then he makes it, and then I looked at the time, there was no time left. I'm like, are you kidding me? He pulled up like he was a Steph Curry shot, and I was just like,
yeah.
I kind of expected what Jeremy Lin did in Toronto back in 2012. The shot that finished.
Where he walked up to the line and then pulled up.
I expected something like that, but I didn't. I was basically like Paul George. I'm like, when are you gonna make a move? And then just looking at Damian Lillard the whole time. I wasn't even paying attention to the clock. If I'm Paul George and I have the time, the clock, glaring at it sometime, every now and then, I'll probably definitely close up to him with 3 or 4 seconds left. But man, that was a crazy shot. It ices his veins. It was almost as good as a Justin Tucker field goal against the Aggies in 2011. Almost as good.
Almost as good? Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Very clutch moments by both of those guys.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about what do you see going forward in the NBA playoffs? Let's see. All the second round is set except for Denver or San Antonio and Warriors versus Clippers.
Yeah.
Who do you see winning those two series?
I really think the Clippers just caught the Warriors snapping twice.
Yeah.
Out of 5 games. That's a warning sign for the Warriors, but it's good that this is happening in the first round rather than against the Rockets or who will they face?
They'll play the Rockets round 2.
Yeah, who will they face that can legitly challenge them? I don't think maybe Boston can give them a shot, but it's good that it happened against the Clippers, an 8th seed. I think the Nuggets and Spurs series, at first I went with the Nuggets because I was like, hey, they're the 2 seed.
Yeah.
But then I gave more thought to it. I gave Nuggets the edge during the 1&0 composite show 2 weeks ago. It's on my Facebook page and the TSTV Sports Facebook page. And then I thought about it more. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense to choose the Nuggets because you're winning. They're winning because of their depth. And in the playoffs, depth does not matter. The top 6-7 players matter, and that is why the Clippers are so good, because they're sixth player, it's so great, right?
Yeah.
And so the top 10 on the Nuggets team is probably better than any top 10 you can throw out there, like on average. But in the playoffs, because you don't play back-to-backs, or you don't play that many games in a row, and you're facing the same team, you know, 7 times in 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, depth really just doesn't matter at that point. And the Spurs, with their infrastructure, because their infrastructure is built for the playoffs, they've been in the playoffs in like every single year.
Yeah.
It seems like
since the beginning of the NBA almost.
Yeah. So and you know, Greg Popovich is one of the best playoff coach out there. And he's really good at preparing the team for the playoffs. You know, even though they're the 7th seed, they know they're going to be in the playoffs pretty early because of how the Western Conference played out this year. So, I think the Spurs have the edge, but I was really disappointed in them losing in San Antonio in Game 4.
Yeah, I think so. It was Game 4.
And then Game 5, they lost by a lot in Denver. Yesterday, they bounced back. I think that's what's meant to happen. Games, it's really tough to win in Denver, but it's as close as I think it is. But at this point, I would have Denver winning Game 7, even though it's close. Okay. Because of Denver, like Denver, like as a city, like the Mile High, and you know, being at home,
it's huge
against the Spurs. It's if it were Ginobili, Parker, and Duncan with the Spurs right now, I'd probably give it to the Spurs. But now they're a much younger team. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they can face. I don't think under that circumstances, you know, they lost by like 25 or something. Yeah. The game was over in the third quarter in Game 5, and I don't know if they can pull it off in Denver one more time. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. All right, so you have the Warriors and the Nuggets. Yeah. So then, real quick, if there's a series you like that you think is going to be exciting, you could talk about it a little more. If not, just give me a prediction, like if you don't know anything about the teams or anything like that. So Portland versus Denver. Portland, Denver. Portland again. The Denver with the depth. They're only good at depth. So yeah. And I think they're a 2 seed. They're the second best regular season team, but they're not the second best team. Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, for sure. I mean, in Portland has 4 or 5 guys who are studs. Yeah. You know, and so their top 5 is better than Denver's top 5. Definitely. And so, and I mean, especially if Damian Lillard's playing like this, it's gonna be hard to stop. You can legit just play 7 players for the entire series because of how much rest they're giving the teams now. Yeah, I mean, a day between games, 2 days between switching games. I think that is ridiculous. Even though, I mean, obviously you want to take care of the players, but the amount of time they have in the middle is ridiculous. Yeah. Same as I talked about this on my show yesterday. It's published today on Friday. The playoffs are just too long. They are, yeah. They take a long time, yeah. You shouldn't have a best of 7 in every round, and you shouldn't have the majority of the league making the playoffs in the first place. Okay. So again, back to Portland Nuggets. I think Portland's gonna. Portland should win by 6, if not 5. I don't see that going to 7 games. Okay. Yeah. Warriors Rocket. Oh, we'll save that one for last. Okay. Yeah. Bucks Celtics. I have Boston if they figure it out. It seems like they did because Kyrie Irving established himself as the leader of the team, and that is what's been missing. Yep. Right, because they have so much talent, but then they don't give enough credit to Kyrie Irving being the star. Yeah. Because of what happened last year. And so the whole team has just been a mess, just trying to figure themselves out. And then Kyrie Irving just took off in round 1, and then the young players are like, "Okay, we get it. Yep. Okay, that's exactly what happened." Yeah. So, I think Boston have figured it out, and then with Brad Stevens coaching, one of the probably second best or the best coach in the league. Oh yeah, top 3 for sure. For sure. And then with that much talent, I think they started the Boston the figured out way the part too a bit too late, but because they're on the road, I'll give Milwaukee 3 games. I think it'll go to 7 games. Okay.
And you think Boston will win?
Boston will win
in Milwaukee in Game 7?
Yes.
All right.
Because Giannis haven't played in legit like actually contending playoff series.
Yeah.
Right, and then really LeBron leaving the East have put so much pressure on Giannis because right now you're just looking at Milwaukee, you know, the arguably the favorites winning the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? And or at least winning the East, and that amount of pressure hasn't been on Milwaukee since forever. So
that's fair.
And then Boston has been there before.
Yeah.
I think with the playoff experience from Kyrie, you know, and the rest of the squad from last year, the deep playoff run, and then with Brad Stevens, I think Boston will get the edge. Probably 6. I'll give Giannis one more game. Like 7 games.
So we'll go to 7. Does Kyrie hit a game-winning shot in Game 7, or is it kind of a runaway?
Kyrie will make the shot with 20 seconds left.
Okay.
And then Milwaukee will get the ball, and then they'll try to give it to Giannis, but the Giannis can't shoot, so they just kind of like retract everything. And obviously Milwaukee will give Giannis the ball. There's no way they're gonna give anybody else the ball. And then Giannis will miss whatever shot he takes with 10 seconds left. Boston gets the rebound. Milwaukee forces